Hey, good afternoon, everyone. In one of my summer 2023 courses, you're either in Business Law 1, um, Political Science and Government, or History of the U.S. Constitution. And because all three classes are online, I'd like to put up at least a brief introductory video so you get a sense of who I am and what my expectations are, and maybe take away a little of the impersonal qualities of an online course. I looked at the course list recently for all three classes, and some of you have had me before, so you know the spiel. You don't have to worry about it. Others of you have taken a class with me in traditional brick and mortar in-person classes, so you know my expectations. So you just turn this off or not even watch it if you so choose. But those of you that take strictly online classes and who have never had me before, or if you just take online classes, it's very impersonal. It's impersonal for me. It's impersonal for you. And sometimes it's a sense, I think it gives a sense of reassurance that you get a little bit of a feel for who the instructor is and what their expectations are and just who they are as a person. Are they real? Do they exist? And what's their sort of teaching philosophy, I guess. So I'm going to try to keep it somewhat brief, which is difficult for me. Those of you who know me, I can talk and talk and talk and talk. But my name is Jim Corman. I am the chair of legal studies, political science, and history at Mount Wachusett Community College. Been there for in my 21st year now. I love teaching there, and it's been my aspiration for a long time to be a teacher at a community college. And so my dreams have largely come true from back, 21 years ago when I finally landed a full-time position at a community college up in Gardner. I live in Brimfield, Mass, which is very much south of Gardner. It's right on the Connecticut border. I was living in Sturbridge recently. Lived in Sturbridge for many, many years, and then moved over to the one town over to get some land and a house that sort of fulfills what I was looking for at the time. And so I'm in sort of central Mass South, and it's 44 miles, I think, to the Mount from where I live. Um, I have 7 kids. I have 2 dogs. My dogs are sleeping behind me. Most of the students only want to know about my dogs anyway, so I just gotta find my dogs. That's Bailey. She's 2 years old. And Martha, where's Martha? Martha? Well, maybe Martha come around. Bailey's a golden doodle, and she's 2. And Martha is a golden retriever, and she is 6. Martha. No, some of you are curious, I'm sure, about the dog, but nonetheless, I live down here. We 7 kids, about I say about, but three or four of them are living with us from time to time. The other 3 or 4 are independent, depending on where you find them in their stages of life. Um, my hobbies are actually related to what I teach. I'm a practicing attorney. I don't consider that a hobby, but I do practice law, and my degree is a doctorate in legal studies or jurisprudence. But I also collect and am interested in political ephemeria buttons and placards and mailings from back in the day. Usually from 1970 and earlier, I collect all that kind of stuff. You'll see my other video lectures. You'll see all my button collections behind me and stuff like that. Um, that's pretty much me in a nutshell, I guess. Summer's coming. I don't really have too many summery hobbies other than scuba diving, although I try to do that all year long if I can. I haven't been doing it fairly recently, but hopefully this summer I can get back into the ocean and do some lobster hunting and just some exploring. Um, Other than that, the story that hopefully connects me to you is I'm also a community college graduate. I grew up in Springfield, Mass. My mom still lives out in Springfield, Mass. Just turned 90 the other day. Um, and I was just an average everyday high school student in the public school system in Springfield. And when I graduated, I thought I'd go on to become a plumber. And the reason why I was going to be a plumber because my dad was a plumber, and so was my grandfather. And so I thought I'd follow the profession. I used to do a little work with my dad from time to time, and it always interested me. And I thought I'd follow through on that career pursuit. But needless to say, at the time, my dad wanted me to go to college and get some experience in liberal, especially classic liberal arts education. He thought it would be good for me, even though he didn't have one himself. And I grew up not too far from Springfield Technical Community College. He urged me to go down there, and I literally went down the day before classes started. I signed up for an array of what we call core competency type classes that all students have to take: English, um, think there was an anthropology course. I remember that distinctly. Sociology, psychology, and I can't remember what the fourth one was off the top of my head. I put them all on 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, which I think some people think that's wonderful. I thought that was, in hindsight, was a grave error. But when I went there, I felt very, very disconnected. I didn't know why those classes would help me. I didn't feel like I was college material. I didn't have any friends that went with me from my high school time. So I felt very lonely and disillusioned while I was there, to be quite honest with you. And as the semester rolled through, about, I don't know, maybe a third or 2/3 of the way in, I started having papers due and exams, and I felt like I didn't understand necessarily what the professors wanted from me. And I kept thinking, what does this have to do with my plumbing career? And as fate would have it, I got sick with the flu right around the Thanksgiving break time, and or just a few weeks before that, and I missed a full week. I missed a Tuesday and Thursday, and I felt very, very much like I was sort of lost, and I really didn't want to be there, and I felt very, very much anxiety bound by going back. And after I was getting over the flu, I went back or I was about to go back, and we got snail mail. We didn't have email back then. We had, everything was through the mail. I got a mailing that the last day of withdrawing from classes was coming up that following Monday, and to do so, you'd be able to withdraw and not get a grade. And I remember just feeling just this sort of epiphany that I really should just withdraw and quit and get out of there. And I did. I went down Monday morning, and I felt great. I withdrew from all my classes, and I quit college. And I didn't tell anybody about it for a few days. And then my father just said something was wrong with me. This was going on. And I told him I quit. I want to be a plumber in school. I didn't know why I'm taking anthropology and sociology and psychology when those classes don't have any bearing on what I'm going to do. And I could just see in his face how saddened he was for me by making that decision. And he even asked me, why don't you just finish out the semester and not return, or do a full year? And then the plumbing apprenticeship program would probably start up at that time. And he wasn't angry, but he was saddened by it. And then I remember my other friends who went on to college, get together during that Thanksgiving break, and when we got together, they all started asking me, how's college going? And that's when it hit me how much I was filled with regret by quitting. But I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like the professors were making it clear to me what their expectations were, and I didn't feel like they were very approachable. I was probably wrong on all those things. I don't know. But that was my experience, and I quit, and it sickened me, quite honestly, for a period of time. And it was until the following March. This is the fall semester, and the semester finished out, and I was already withdrawn. And then I didn't go back in the spring. And then in the March, they would have these mini semesters like we do at the Mount, these 7.5-week type courses. And I just felt I had to go back and at least take one class. So I took English Comp 1, and I had a great professor, and I had a lot of anxiety going, but I went, and it was a night class, and I don't know, it was 2 days a week, and I'd go, and I felt very ill at ease, but she was very supportive, and I got up the gumption to ask questions when I didn't understand things, and I got through it successfully. I think I got a B or B plus, and that doesn't sound like the greatest grade, but I didn't come into the college with any writing skills whatsoever, and she taught me how to write much better, no question about it. And because I was successful in that one class, I took a summer class with her and did even better, a literature class. And I went back in the fall full time, and I started getting a sense of expectations of what professors wanted and the courage to ask about things when I didn't think they were clear. And the rest is sort of history. I stayed 3 full years, really 4 if you count the year I dropped out, because I took 2 years of general studies. I think now they call it IDS, or interdisciplinary studies, because I really didn't know what I wanted to study. I still thought I was going to be a plumber, but then I fell in love with it. I fell in love with learning. I fell in love with independent learning. I started to become an avid reader, and I started believing in myself that maybe I was college material and I could do this. And so I ended up studying 4 years there, and I graduated with a degree in criminal justice, ironically, because people stared me in that direction because I read case law and it had a lot of history behind it, supposedly. I don't know. But that's when I got the bug about law a little bit, about reading about law in Supreme Court decisions and appellate court decisions. And from there, I didn't want to leave home. I'm one of those weird people that actually liked living with his parents. And so I went to Springfield College. I commuted and I went over to Springfield College. Sorry about that. Dog probably saw a leaf blowing by. Bailey, come on. And I got a history degree. I still love history, always have. And I got a history degree from there. I thought I'd become a high school teacher maybe if the plumbing thing didn't work out. But again, I grew up in Springfield. There's a law school in Springfield called Western New England Law School. My father told me, my father's pretty wise beyond his years, even though he didn't have a college education himself, said, go to law school. You love history and political science and all that kind of stuff. And he was able to reveal to me that those people that were involved in politics, many of them were actually licensed attorneys. And you could still live at home. You can go to get your law degree. And you could take some comfort in knowing that you have different avenues to pursue if you have a law degree. So I went and got my law degree at Western New England University, got my Juris Doctorate. And then after that, because I liked history so much and I wanted to teach in history, I got a master's degree in history from Worcester State. Now people say, well, this guy's just bragging about all the stuff he got. Well, my point is that the most important degree to me is the one I got from Springfield Technical Community College, the 2-year degree, because it allowed me to do all the other things that I ultimately did successfully. It's my foundation, and it really was. And I failed at it initially. And I want you to know that I know what it's like to feel disengaged. I know what it's feel like to be maybe lonely in a class, and that's especially true with online. But what I want you to find is a certain degree of reassurance that I am there for you. I have no reservations about you giving me a call, shooting me an email. If you do text me, because I give you my business number, just make sure you identify yourself. And you should do that in an email too. Say which course you're in, who you are, so I can figure out where you are if you're having a problem within the Blackboard framework that we're working off of. And know that I'm not always perfect on my end. I don't always make things clear. And I know what that's like on the other end. And sometimes I drop the ball on my end. So if you're doing poorly in something, you did a quiz and you didn't understand why you didn't do well, I'll discuss those things with you. And I'll even give you partial credit in terms of sort of remedying a poor grade if you can demonstrate to me that you can learn the material. It's not about how we get there. It's making sure we get there. So in the end, if you get to those student learning outcomes and you become competent in those, the grade can be adjusted, and I want to work with you. So don't ever be afraid to reach out and say you don't understand things. And other things are going to come up. Life's going to come up. You're saying, geez, Corman's got this test due on this day or this homework assignment due. I have a family emergency. I have a work emergency. I'm not going to be able to get it done. I recognize life gets in the way of getting things done sometimes. So ask for a continuance or let me know of the problem. I will work with you. The deadlines are aspirational. I don't want you to take advantage of it because you only hurt yourself in the end. And you hurt me too if you just try to gunny sack it all to the end of the semester and put a tidal wave of work on me that's probably poor quality. And you don't get as much out of it as if you don't keep the general pace of the course. But I want to have you reassured that I know what it's like to feel marginalized. I know what it's like to feel alone. And I know what it's like to be somewhat scared about doing well and maybe dropping the ball at different points of the semester and maybe having the opportunity to improve and still do well in the course. I'm here for that, and I want you to know that. I don't know what else there is to tell about me or anything like that about the course, but the course structure I think is fairly clear, but if you're in business law, you don't have to do a paper, but if you are in my history of the Constitution or my political science government class, there's a short paper. It's roughly 4 pages, 1,000 words. I just want to get your feet wet and going out and learning about a topic on your own, look at a few sources, a few articles, and write a paper. It's very low stakes in terms of the grade, but that's the one thing I think more than anything else students get very, very scared about and feel a great deal of anxiety and apprehension because they pick the topic related to the course. If you panic over that, we can talk. I can pick the topic for you. I can help you frame it. I can even help you find resources if that's the problem. Just want you to let you know that your success is my success. And I really do believe that, especially as a community college dropout, knowing that I almost didn't go back. And a lot of students that do drop out won't go back. And I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to make the mistake I made. I want you to stick with it. If you decide that the amount isn't for you or the program of study that you're pursuing right now isn't for you, finish out the semester anyways. Get those credits. And then make your decision that you want to shift gears and move into a different direction. But I want you to know I'm there to support you. but you got to reach out. I'm not a you know, a fortune teller, is that the term? Or a psychic, and knowing that you're having some problems with the course or not understanding it or navigating through it. Um, and I do want to let you know, if you do look at this very long-winded video, I'm already over 15 minutes. I know the first assignment I'm going to probably make them Friday, just like a consistent date for weekly assignments, like every Friday there might be an assignment due. I used to do every Sunday, but people told me, articles they've read, that doing Sunday night deadlines is creating its own anxiety. So we'll create Friday night deadlines. You'll have like usually a week to do the work. But that first assignment, you might not have the text yet for a couple of the classes. If you're in political science, it's a free textbook available online. You can order a print copy for a fairly nominal fee. I like to look at print. I don't like reading online, but that's entirely free. But for history of the Constitution or business law, you might have to order the book and get it. You might not be ready to tackle that first assignment. I'm going to continue that out, but you still have to do the second assignment with the first assignment for that second due date that's out. Other than that, I can't tell you, other than reaching out to academic support. Me or other people at the college will help you navigate Blackboard if you've never taken an online class. Because it's a summer class, I'm a little less worried about it because most of you have gotten some familiarity and comfort with the technology. Usually it's pretty clear. I have a syllabus, I have weekly assignments, I have discussion board, which I'm not all that crazy about in terms of overwhelming you with. It's a 10-week course, but I usually have maybe 4 or 5 themes that I want to discuss. And it's graded as for participation. It's not really graded as much for content, because I don't want to put intimidation into that kind of exercise. I think a lot of students are a little bit repulsed about the discussion board process. Other students love it. But everything there I think is fairly clear. If you have questions, my name, number, email, all up there in the syllabus. I do urge you to call me. I do have some idiosyncrasies. I'm kind of like everybody else, a little bit different. And one of the things is I don't like answering the phone when I see it ring. I don't know who it is. I let it go to my voicemail, listen to it, and then I call back. So don't feel offended if I don't pick up. And I'm often in court too. I do have an active criminal defense practice. I've been practicing law for 30 years. And so I do tend to get a little bit busy. It's not that I don't think your issues are important, but sometimes I'll look at your issue. You'll say, I was in the middle of a quiz, Jim, and my power went out. I got locked out. When the power came back on, I tried to go back into the quiz and it says it's already been completed, but I was only on the second question of 30 questions. I'm going to flunk. And I think to myself, that's not a problem. I'll reset it later. But for whatever reason, I don't get around to sending you an email that I'm going to do that. And you're meanwhile freaking out at home, wondering about your status on a quiz that might be a significant portion of your grade. Follow up. Don't be afraid to send me multiple emails. Don't be afraid to call. You're not bothering me. I'm here to help. I do miss emails. I do sometimes forget to follow through on something I said I was going to do for you. Don't be afraid to have that dialogue with me. I'm very informal. I look formal. I just got out of court maybe 15 minutes ago, just drove home. And I wanted to put up this little introductory video. But I am very informal. I go by Jim. A lot of people call me Corman for some reason. Not Professor Corman, not Attorney Corman, not Mr. Corman, just Corman for some reason. It's always been a phenomenon. Even my friends that I'm very close to just call me Corman. But I'm not a formal guy. I'm sort of just the first among equals in our class, trying to facilitate a learning process so we can become competent in the topics that we're currently enrolled in. I hope this video didn't bore you to death. I don't like doing videos. I'm very uncomfortable listening to myself. So I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to edit it. And it's 18 minutes of fluff mostly, but hopefully you get a sense of who I am. And I'll just tell you a quick story. Last night I was at graduation at the Mount, and I had many students come up to me at the end saying, hey, are you Professor Corman? Are you Jim Corman? Or are you Corman? And I said, yeah. And they'd say, oh, I've taken you for the past 2 or 3 years on these online classes. And I'm like, I have no awareness of them at all. I don't know what they look like. I don't know their voice patterns. A couple I do, because a couple have called me. But I'd say, who are you? And then they give me their name and I make a connection. And so it's very challenging to have a rapport online. I get that. But let's make the best of it as we go through. And again, don't be afraid to reach out. I think you get a sense. I'm not going to yell it. There's no such thing as a stupid question. I always remember hearing that from other professors. Didn't really know what it meant until I became one. And I truly believe that there's no such thing as a stupid question. The stupid question is the one that's not asked, because it might be as simple as, I don't know how to get into the Blackboard. I don't know how to click on the homework. I don't know how to submit a homework assignment. Usually it's fairly intuitive. You go in, you click on the assignment, you read the assignment, and then you double click the icon for the homework, and it'll open up a portal where you can submit your homework. And I prefer a Word document, but you can type your answer right in there. I urge you to save your homework in case it gets lost in the stratosphere of the internet. But we'll get through it, and we'll get that process. So there's no such thing as a stupid question. I'm here to support you, and hopefully you'll figure things out as we go forward. I think that's pretty much it. I don't know where my other dog is, but you'll see, I think, Martha, in the other videos. You won't see the cats. They are cellar dwellers. Otherwise, stay well. And again, reach out with any questions or concerns you might have. And occasionally, I'll even have bad links up. I'll put up a link to a video or an article, and it's bad. And you'll say, it's not there. What are you going to do? Tell me. I've had other students even not tell me at all until much later in the semester. And they said, geez, I really thought I got number 7 right on the test, and it's been eating away at me. I want to ask about it. This is like a test maybe from weeks earlier. And I'll look into it. They actually got it right. I put the answer key incorrectly into Blackboard. And so, I look at this, the bulk of the students got the correct answer, but got it marked wrong, and nobody complained about it. That is not the kind of dynamic I want to create. I want you to reach out and ask me questions. I want you to understand the material, and I want you to have a meaningful experience. We have some graduates from the program that have gone on to law school, become lawyers, and it makes me very, very happy that they feel like the mountain. It was a little bit of part of that process. So if I can do it, you definitely can do it. I'm a community college dropout, and I went on to law school and became a lawyer. Now I'm a professor at the mountain. I'm just an average guy, so you can do it as well too. Hopefully we'll have a fun, if such a thing as a summer course can be fun. We'll do the best we can and try to get through it, and hopefully the pressure is a little bit less palpable for you if you haven't had me before. Be well.